and hopeful, USC is once again pointing towards Pasadena. And these Trojans are well equipped. A freshman star is shining bright. And for the first time since '96, the Trojans are dreaming of roses. The number 9 ranked team in the BCS standings, the USC Trojans, come into Stanford Stadium. They've been coming here since 1905, one of the oldest rivalries in the Pac-10 Conference, renewed today. It's the Trojans and the Cardinal. Hello, everybody. I'm Darren Horton, along with Mike Mayock. We are so excited. We showcased today one of the top offensive teams in college football, USC. They've got terrific running backs, 3 quality receivers, but it all starts with their quarterback, Carson Palmer.
Yeah, and he's a big, strong kid. He can make all the throws. I truly believe he's playing as well as any quarterback in the country right now. He's in his 3rd offensive system in 5 years, but he's flourished under the tutelage of offensive coordinator Norm Chow. And if he keeps playing like he is and with his natural ability, he's going to be a surefire first-round pick this coming spring.
As for Stanford, they're in the middle of a rebuilding process. New coach and Buddy Tevens. They're still looking for the fun in the fun and gun.
Well, it's a traditional underdog situation right here. They can't turn the ball over, number one. They've got to win the special teams battle, and they got to find somebody to make a play. Teyo Johnson at 6'7" is the only guy even to find the end zone, and Luke Powell is the key. He's got to get the ball in space, and then he's got to make a play.
Well, USC has won the toss. They have deferred, so Stanford will receive. And set to kick it off for USC is Ryan Killeen. He gets a foot into it, and we are underway here in Palo Alto. Ryan Wells has it up the center of the field. He's got some room, cuts it outside, crosses the 40-yard line, but we got a flag down on the field. So a penalty on the play. They'll bring it back. It's against Stanford. And we get our first look at the freshman quarterback. Here he is, Kyle Matter. You see the numbers on the year, 726, 3 touchdowns, 5 picks. Still learning this fun and gun offense. 2 running touchdowns. He's pretty mobile. One of those kids out of Hart High School. We got 3 quarterbacks in the Pac-10 Conference from Hart High School.
They got Matt Moore, who's the true freshman at UCLA, and of course Kyle Pollard out of Cal.
So they spot the ball back at the 11-yard line, and we will get going for first offensive play. They go to Kerry Carter over the left side, and gives us a chance to get into the Nevia for Men starting lineups. Backs and receivers, Kerry Carter, who you just saw there. Casey Moore, he's exciting. Alex Smith, their second leading receiver, is the tight end. Teyo Johnson, the big basketball player. Ryan Wells is the other receiver. On the line, Chambers, Dustin Stimson, Tom Kolich, Greg Schindler, who is taped up and wired up today, and Dwayne Harris, who may be the best of the bunch. Little handoff. Number 82 is brought down as we take a look at the USC defense. Kenechi, Udeze, Bernard Riley, Mike Patterson, who has switched over from the tackle position for the injured Sean Cody, and Omar Nazel. Grootegoed, Pollard, and Simmons are the linebackers. They are lighter and quicker. Marcell, Almond, Troy Polamalu, Deshaun Hill, and Darryl Rideau are the defensive backs. Polamalu is Mr. Everything, the All-American from last year. Just made the first tackle on that last play. 3rd down and 11 on the loss. Matter out of the gun. Hands off. It's Carter. It's conservative, and it's not going to get the first down. Mike Patterson brought him down. And we will have our first punt of the game.
And you can see that Buddy Tevens, right from the get-go, a little bit conservative in the shadow of his own end zone. 3 runs. He did try the old Steve Spurrier reverse on 2nd down.
Eric Johnson on for the punt. Greg Carlson standing back at the 50. Punt goes down.
Get on it.
It may have touched one of the Trojans, and I believe it did. No. They say no, it will be USC's ball. A 37-yard punt. But it looked close, Mike.
Yeah, and Jared Newberry came up with it, and I really thought it hit one of the Trojans.
So here comes Carson Palmer. And in his last game, he set 2 records. 448 yards, 5 touchdowns, which tied a school record. He is outstanding, and he's catapulting himself into the Heisman picture. 74% completion rate in that game against Oregon a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I watched that tape, and it looked like he was playing on air. I mean, the Oregon defensive backs didn't even show up the whole game.
They'll pitch it. It's Fargas. Loses. Slipped down early on. And Nevia for men's starting lineups. The backs and receivers. Justin Fargas, who's coming off a career game. Malaefou MacKenzie, Alex Holmes, Kareem Kelly, and Keary Colbert, who may be the most consistent wide receiver they have. On the line, it's Rogers, Vandermeer, Katnick, Wilson, and Winston Justin, who is the freshman, and he may be the best of the bunch. They really like him.
Yeah, he's a special kid, barely 18 years old with great feet for a 305-pounder.
The freshman in motion. There he is. Mike Williams makes the grab, and he's so hard to bring down as he crosses the 50-yard line. As we take a look at the Stanford defense, they run a 4-3 formation. Amon Gordon, Trey Freeman, Matt Leonard, who was all Pac-10 a year ago, and Lewis Hobson, Bergeron, Colbert, and Austin, they are the linebackers, and Stanley Wilson, Otagwe, Colin Branch, and Lee Torrance are the defensive back for the Cardinals.
And we just saw the wide receiver screen to Williams. They ran 9 wide receiver screens the last 2 weeks ago against Oregon. They love getting Williams out there on air.
As we mentioned, he's tough to bring down. Colbert in motion. Here's Palmer. Feeling some pressure. Gets it away, but incomplete. He was looking for Justin Fargas, and the Trojans now will have to punt the football away.
And that's a big play by Stanford, because USC started out with the short field, getting the ball right around the 50-yard line. So on 3rd down, they get to Palmer and they force a punt. That was really a key defensive series for the Cardinals.
Tom Malone on to punt. Standing back at his own 10-yard line is Luke Powell, who was an All-American kick returner a year ago. Malone gets a low kick, rolling at the 20, and it was hit by one of the Cardinals.
Man, what a
special team problems for Stanford early on. Justin Wyatt comes up with it for the Trojans.
What a turnaround. The Cardinal thought they had it on the last punt, but this time a poor punt by USC. And this is where the punt returner's got to scream, get away, get away, get away. And look, the ball hits the ground and bounces right up, and it hits T.J. Rushing, no question about it. And an alert play by Jason Leach to jump on the football.
So Justin Wyatt comes up with that. The freshman from Compton, California. And we've talked about how opportunistic the Trojans are. You give them the ball in this situation, it's almost a gimme. Palmer going upstairs, got a man, it's touchdown. Keary Colbert wide open in the end zone, and USC, a 17-yard touchdown pass from Palmer to Keary Colbert, and the Trojans out on top 6-0.
And this was like stealing. Watch right up at the top of your screen right here. It's a double move. There's the slant, pump fake, and he goes deep. Stanley Wilson left grasping nothing but air, and that's stealing right there, and that's too easy. You give away the turnover, and then right away they turn around and take advantage of it.
Colleen on for the extra point, which is no gimme. The Trojans have had their problems in this department, but this time it's between the uprights. And SC out on top 7-0. 17-yard touchdown pass by that guy, Carson Palmer.
You cannot do it by yourself.
Seating credit of up to $16.70 on.
Back, USC with a quick strike after a turnover on special teams by Stanford, and now they have a 7-0 lead. Darren Horton, Mike Mayock with you here in Palo Alto, and Ryan Colleen gets his foot into it. It's Ryan Wells taking it out of his own end zone. Again, he's finding some room, able to get across the 25-yard line, where he's brought down by Jason Leach. You know, you talk about USC, their defense is so good, and when they get the turnovers, Mike, they're able to cash in.
Yeah, and they've done that all season. And the key is, look at the 12 touchdowns against 3 field goals. When they get the turnover, they don't just kick the field goal, they take it all the way into the end zone.
Carson Palmer came off a record game, a big win over Oregon, and today ties Rob Johnson's career touchdown pass record, 58. Wow, what a terrific career he's had. Little play action for Matter. Complete out in the flat. That's Teyo Johnson, and he's very close to a first down.
This is one of the things Buddy Stevens, the head coach at Stanford, talked about with us this week, and that's trying to get Matter out on the edge, move the pocket, give it different launch points so USC can't just fire in on him at the same place every time. And that's a great job of getting out of the pocket and finding Teyo Johnson underneath.
Teyo Johnson, 6'7". He's a basketball player. He says he's going to wait 2 weeks until after the football season ends and pick up the basketball. 1st and 10. Quick pass underneath. It's Wells who catches it. Next Saturday, we have another huge showdown in the Pac-10. Reggie Williams and the Washington Huskies take on Ontario Smith in number 15 Oregon. What a win for them. Or actually a loss today. Plus other regional action next Saturday, 12:30 Pacific on ABC Sports, the class of college football. They had a shot today against Washington State, but their defense again let them down.
Yeah, that defense, and I watched 2 or 3 of their tapes, they've got an offense that's national championship caliber, but a defense that isn't.
2nd and 5, they shift the tight end. Alex Smith over to the right side, and Carter up the middle, and this is something that the Cardinals do very well. They run the football, pickup of 7 on the play, and a first down for Stanford.
Stanford's got a little something going all of a sudden. 2 passes, move the chains, and now they get what they want, which is the big tailback Carter up over. So now watch the left guard Stimson. He's going to get a key block right in there, and number 8 Carter is going to jump right in behind. There's the block, the kick out. Carter jumps in behind, and that's exactly what this Stanford offense is designed for. They're number 3 in the Pac-10 in rush offense.
Stenson, a guy who moved over from defense a year ago. 1st and 10, and they go back to Carter. And again, he runs downhill, picks up 3 on the play. Brought down by Bernard Riley.
You know, when we talk to Buddy Stevens, he recognizes that his team runs the ball fairly well. They're number 3 in the Pac-10. The problem is that Pete Carroll, the head coach and defensive coordinator for USC, is not going to let him run the football. He's going to get an 8-man front. He's going to force that quarterback ultimately to beat him throwing the ball, and Buddy knows that.
And he's confident in Kyle Matter. He feels like he's still learning. There's a lot, especially when you consider the offense that Stanford ran last year under Tyrone Willingham. Again to the ground. Carter again. Tough running. A couple of broken tackles before Polamalu gets close to another first down.
That's good running by Carter there. They had 8 men in the box. I didn't think they could actually run it. But watch 43, Polamalu right here, the All-American safety. He's like a heat-seeking missile. He gets to the sideline and bang, right up on the face mask, which wasn't called. I think that's a good no call, but a good tackle by Troy Polamalu.
Polamalu, who was injured against Washington State. One of the reasons why USC felt like they lost that game is they didn't have his services for most of the game. Even when he came back at the end of the game, he was injured.
Yeah, I think if Troy was honest with you, he would tell you that high ankle sprain is still bothering him. He's probably at about 85 to 90%, but that's better than anything else they have. 4
wide receivers set. We've seen that early on and throughout, and again to the ground as they spread out USC. Big hole for Carter, and he picks up another big chunk of yardage, maybe 8, perhaps 9 yards, pending upon the spot. Deshaun Hill brings him down.
And that's a good push by the left side of their offensive line. Remember, you got a good offensive line. This kid's 250. Watch the push over here, okay? You've got Curry Carter at about just under 250, and look at Chambers, 67, pushes his guy down. Carter makes the right cut, and Buddy Stevens all of a sudden has it going.
Buddy Stevens said his offensive line, they're much better run blockers than they are pass blockers, and that's been part of the problem with trying to get those big completions. Carter is off to a good start. 2nd down and 1. Again, that single back and again to the ground. They'll stay with it until USC stops them. Tackle made by Marcell Almond, the junior from Santa Fe Springs. Pickup of 4 and yet another first down as they move the chains.
A pretty impressive drive so far for Stanford. The key is they've got to finish it. They've had a problem finishing drives so far this year. Buddy Stevens told us the other day we get 16 to 18 play drives and come up dry at the end of it. Here's where they have to answer, Darren.
I formation. First down just outside the 25-yard line for the Cardinals. This time they try Tolan, their talented young freshman. Kenneth Tolman from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Slashing style. He's really fast. He hasn't gotten a lot of reps, but they plan on using him more today.
Yeah, I like this kid a lot. When I watch tape, you know what you're getting with Curry Carter. He's a big, strong kid that can push the pile. But when you get Tolan, it's what we talked about in the open. Who can make a play for this team? And he's got a little burst. He's got a little something that can get in the end zone.
You see that Notre Dame score? They come back, squeeze one out against Navy.
Well, that stat just showed you Buddy's frustration of scoring in the red zone.
The end around, and again a slip there. Grant Mason, you talk about not being able to punch it in. First quarter, USC up 7-0. Darren Horton along with Mike Mayock. We're in Palo Alto, California. Big game in the Pac-10. USC still has a glimmer of hope for the Rose Bowl, but certainly they are in contention for a BCS Bowl. Stanford has won the last 3 games that these two teams have played.
4 wide. Important play, 3rd and 5. What's the little seam pattern?
There is the seam, and it is open, and it is complete. Keary Carter. Actually, that's Luke Powell who made that.
We talked about Powell in the open. He's the kind of kid that can make a play. And when you play off him that far, Marcell Almond, watch how far off he's playing. He's 8 yards deep at 3rd and 5. You can't make a play there. Man-to-man coverage. Oh, this is like stealing. It's a little slant. All you got to do is pitch and catch and get down before you get killed. Nice play.
They keep the chains moving. They'll spot it just outside the 10-yard line. Double tight end set. It's Carter through the middle. This Cardinal team pretty impressive the way they could run the ball. They came in with the 3rd best run offense in the Pac-10. Tomorrow, don't miss round 2 of the ISU Grand Prix Series on figure skating. Crucial championship points will be on the line with the USC's Sasha Cohen and Jenny Kirk take the Ice Skate Canada tomorrow, 4 Eastern, 3 Pacific on ABC Sports. 2nd and 5. Carter still on his feet and finally brought down by Mike Pollard, the middle linebacker out of Long Beach.
Now this becomes a key situation. We've already highlighted Stanford's problems in the red zone. They've got 3rd and about 5 yards. And remember, they don't have to get it in the end zone. They just have to get it to about the 1-yard line for a first down. So this is a key play call here for Buddy Stevens and his offensive coordinator, Mike Sanford.
Typical of what they've been doing, long drives, but they haven't been able to cash in.
And you got to finish. In any sport, you got to finish.
3rd and 6.
4 wide. Watch number 5 right here. That's Teyo Johnson. They love him in the red zone.
Play action.
There he is. Give it to him.
Rolling. Got it. Touchdown.
Darn, they answered. They had to answer. They're a big underdog here at home. He had his choice of about 3 different people. This is a great job on the play action. He could have hit Teyo Johnson left side of your screen, but he finds dragging in the back of the end zone Ryan Wells. And folks, all of a sudden we got a football game.
Sgrol on for the extra point. He sneaks it inside the left upright, and we are tied at 7 here in Palo Alto. Ryan Wells gets the Cardinal on the board. Yard drive. Carter at 37 yards rushing on that.
You know, good things happen when you run the ball. Watch the safety bite on the fake. Whoops, 3 steps up towards the run, and that makes Ryan Wells wide open in the back of the end zone. Quarterback Kyle Matter did a wonderful job of locating him. Look at Kyle. Yeah, how do you spell relief? How about 6 points?
Talked about coming into this game. Kyle Matter had really struggled offensively. His longest completion was 18 yards coming into this game. And you talk about the people up here at Palo Alto. They're used to John Elway and Bill Walsh and these offensive geniuses. So they're still, as we mentioned, they're still looking for that fun in the fun and gun.
And they're laughing over there. They're having a good time. And that's a good thing because they've taken some beatings this year.
You see Eric Johnson set to kick it off. 7-7 here in Palo Alto. Darren Horton along with Mike Mayon. Pac-10 contest. Back to receive Marcell Almond and Justin Fargas. And this is going to be a costly mistake by Eric Johnson. ABC Sports presentation of college football is brought to you by Chrysler. Drive equals love. And Zocor. Talk to your doctor about Zocor. And the people of Allstate. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Now, the added benefit of that drive by Stanford is not only did you score 7 points, but you kept one of the most explosive offenses in the country on the bench for a long period of time. So that's kind of a double win there for Stanford.
So here's Carson Palmer, the Heisman candidate, who has come off such a great game, and Fargas is blasted in the backfield. It looks like Stanford's defense has gotten pumped up by seeing the offense make some moves. Amon Gordon just came in and blasted Fargas.
Yeah, they really like Amon Gordon. He's only a sophomore. This is a pretty young defense. They only have 3 seniors on it. Amon Gordon, a sophomore. He's backed up by a true freshman by the name of Julian Jenkins, and both these kids are players.
Sultan Mccullough coming into the game. They've got really 3 talented running backs in McCullough, Fargas, and Malaefou MacKenzie, and they throw it out of the backfield. McCullough still on his feet. He gets up across the 40-yard line. Let's take a look at our Chrysler passing playbook.
Let's hold off on that just for a second. We've got something going on down on the field.
Pick up of 7 yards down on the play. Three receivers out for Palmer. Big 3rd down play for the Trojans. Quick drop, quick pass underneath, knocked away by Lee Torrance, but we do have a flag down on the play. He was all over him.
And being an ex-defensive back, I would usually agree with Mr. Torrance right there, but he was all over them prior to the football arriving. If we get a clearly pass interference, if we get a look at this, you're going to see that Torrance is playing about 7 yards off on a 3rd and 5 situation down here. Look at that right there. That's why they're going to attack him. Good read by Palmer. The ball's not there, and Torrance is all over his back. So even though I'm a defensive back, I hate to see it. He knows.
Yeah,
he knows. See, that's the advantage of being a 5th-year senior, Darren. You know, you understand that stuff.
Exactly. Matto's in motion. It's Williams at the 50. He barrels ahead. Pick up 5 yards. Now let's take a look at our Chrysler passing playbook.
Now remember, here we are down on a goal line situation. Williams is laying off. They're going to run a quick slant, and Williams is going to bite right there. And when he bites, the pump fake comes. There's the slant by Colbert. Up. Wilson bites, and it's all over. He could walk out and hand it to him. Chrysler passing playbook, double pump, and that made the score 7-0.
But of course, Stanford has since come back. 6-yard touchdown pass from Kyle Matter to Ryan Wells to tie the game up at 7. On paper, when you come into this one, USC 6-2, Stanford 2-6. But when you talk to the Trojans, they've had that week off, that off week, that bye week, and they were a little worried about coming up flat today.
And they should be. If you're a coach, this is one of those kind of snake bit games it could become, because you had a week off. You're playing a team that's 2-6, and you've got 3 big rival games coming up with good teams. So if there's going to be a letdown, this is the week.
1st and 10 at 37-yard line. 4 receivers for USC.
Empty set.
Palmer across the middle, and what a laser to his tight end, Alex Holmes. Wow, what a throw.
You're going to see the linebacker, Cobalt, number 38, right in the middle of your screen, is supposed to run under the tight end. He's late getting there, and look at the job Alex Holmes was wide open, but what a great laser by the quarterback, Carson Palmer. He's got every throw in the books.
Alex Holmes knows a thing or two about playing football. He works out with Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson in the offseason.
That old man?
Yeah.
Come on.
They hit the weights together. Colbert in motion up the middle. And it's Fargas. Talk about Fargas, that great game he had last week. 139 yards against Oregon. Talking to the offensive coordinator, Norm Chow, he says, you know, he in some ways could be a better fit. He gives them a different dimension than Sultan Mccullough, who's a lot quicker, a kind of a jitterbug player.
There's Norm right there in the middle. He's one of the most highly respected football coaches in the country at any level. 27 years at BYU. I think he's really got Carson feeling comfortable under center.
He's coached a quarterback or two. There's Palmer feeling some pressure. Underneath, it's Williams, and look how strong and powerful he is. Did he get in? Yes. Touchdown. An 8-yard touchdown pass from Carson Palmer to the freshman Mike Williams.
And they spread you out down there on the goal line. Good job. Palmer rolls to his right and comes back to the big true freshman at 6'4". Really an impressive young kid.
Ryan Killeen on for the PAT. It is good, and just like that, USC answers. 8-yard touchdown pass. He is the career leader in touchdowns. Carson Palmer, with that last touchdown, goes ahead of Rob Johnson.
Okay, let's say this is your car.
And welcome back. 14-7, USC on top. 9th-ranked team of the BCS. Darren Horton, Mike Mayock with you. A 6-play, 65-yard drive. Just under 3 minutes, and the freshman there he is. Mike Williams reminds everybody of another Williams in this conference. And here's Ryan Wells again out of his own end zone, skips over a player, still on his feet, crossing the 30, powers his way to the 35-yard line. We'll be back in 30 seconds. 14-7 USC on top. Back to the ground game with Keary Carter. Brought down immediately by Mike Patterson. Lost a yard on the play. We talk about Mike Patterson. He actually moved over to Sean Cody's spot. And then Bernard Riley moved into Mike Patterson's spot on that defensive line. They really took a big hit when Sean Cody went down.
Yeah, and I spoke with Ed Ogerow, who is the defensive line coach at USC, and he just felt like Sean Cody was one of the better players he's ever coached.
Out of the shotgun, play action, complete. It's to Grant Mason, who's still on his feet. He's got a first down close to midfield. Polamalu had to bring him down.
Good job by Kyle Matter, taking some heat and still being able to deliver the football. Right, here we go right now, a little wide receiver screen. Look at number 82 come back underneath. That's Grant Mason. Missed tackle from the corner. Cuts up, gets past the first down. Finally, Polamalu is waiting for him there about 12 yards deep.
You're not going to see Polamalu miss many tackles. Again, that I formation. Again, some play action as Matter rolls. Looks upfield, got a man. Terrific catch made by the big tight end, Alex Smith. Deshaun Hill brought him down, but what a catch. Their second leading receiver, Alex Smith, showing you he can do a lot.
Again, you run the football effectively. You go to the left side. Now, this is Alex Smith coming all the way from the backside. A 6'5", 245-pound sop. Look at the extension. And that's an example of a guy stepping up and making a play. And that's what Stanford has not done so far this year.
You're talking about a guy who began the year basically as the third-string tight end. He had a couple of injuries, and one of their tight ends signed a baseball contract, and he was the guy, and he has filled in admirably. Short pass again. Fumble on the play. It looks like the Cardinal have it. Let's see what the ref says.
It might have been Alex Smith flashing in at the end there. The big fella, Kirk Chambers, at 6'7", 307.
Yeah. And we have reached the end of the first quarter. The Trojans, the 9th-ranked team in the BCS standings, they're up 14-7 here in Palo Alto. And welcome back to the beginning of the second quarter. USC up 14-7 here in Palo Alto. It's Hall of Fame weekend. At halftime, they're going to have some inductions of some of the great athletes that have played here at Stanford. Swimming, football, basketball players. 2nd and 4. Matter fakes one way, goes back the other way. Screen play for Carter. He crosses the 30-yard line. Now it's time to take a look at those Pacific Life game summary. See what we got here, Mike. What do you see?
Well, you know that USC can throw the football, but look, they've got 1 yard rushing in the first quarter. You know Pete Carroll's not going to be happy about that. But what I like for Stanford is some balance. Remember, they're the number 3 rush team, but they've struggled to throw the football. That's good news if you're a Stanford fan.
3rd down and 3 on this drive for the Cardinal. Matter, quick pass, complete, 1st down, picked up. Kyle Matter. Casey Moore, who is their big play guy, believe it or not. He's had a bunch of big, long plays for the Cardinal this year.
And I like the call there on 3rd and short. They got the big fullback, Casey Moore, out in the flat, and they had the receivers running off the secondary of USC. Good job by Stanford.
Here you see Buddy Tevens came in, former assistant under Steve Spurrier, and has struggled a little bit trying to get these guys on the same page. He's got a very good offense, but it takes a second or two to learn it. Again, it's Tolan this time. Outside to the 20, 15, 10. He's got a 1st down and finally pulled out of bounds by Deshaun Hill. A pickup of 11 yards.
Remember, you want to get this guy Tolan with a little bit of room to run. Watch the left guard right here, Dustin Simpson. He's going to come out and kick out. You're going to get the lead block from the fullback and then the break by Tolan. Simpson gets the kick. There's the block by the fullback, and all of a sudden, when he gets out on the edge, which means out on the outside, he gets a good block by his wide receiver, Luke Powell. That's an excellent, excellent play. Watch Luke Powell. We just referenced it. It's a position deal. You don't have to kill anybody when you're a receiver. You just got to kind of get in the way. And that's what little Luke Powell at 5'8", 175 did on that play.
Yeah, he took out Darryl Riddell. So they pick up the 1st down. And again, it's Tolan. A stiff arm as he cuts outside and picks up 4 more yards on the play.
But that's a good job. He's a kind of a cutback runner, and you like that out of an eye tailback. Tolan started to his left, the right side of the line, which is Schindler and Harris, broke it down on the right side, and he picked up good yardage.
Leads the team in rushing touchdowns with 4, 323 yards on the season, and they really like their future with him.
Yeah, I think he's got a little burst. I think he's pretty special. He's only a sophomore. Now, this is where they've got to finish again. They're in I formation, double tight, 1 wide receiver. This is a run or play action set.
Tolan again, he'll pick up 2 more yards. As they drive, let's take a look at the Aflac trivia question. This week's question is, how many Heisman Trophy winners attended USC and Stanford, and who were they?
You know, I like this question because you got a shot at it. It's not like, you know, some guy nobody ever heard of in 1912. This is pretty good. And we all know that Troy has had a bunch of Heisman Trophy winners, but how about Stanford?
You think this guy's you think he has a legitimate shot at winning a Heisman Trophy?
Well, the race is wide open right now, and that's why he might. But let's focus in on here.
Play action for Matter as he rolls. Eludes one tackler, but he doesn't elude Matt Grootgoed, who brings him down.
See, that's where he's got to get rid of the football. You can't take that sack in that situation. And I actually thought he had Teyo Johnson early in the play. Johnson comes all the way from the left side. Here's Johnson. He's going to come and head out in the flat, and I thought he had him early. Look at 6. And I think right here, if he gets rid of the flat, it's pretty good coverage. I shouldn't even say that. Good coverage, but I still think you got to get rid of the football. Good job by Grootegoed. Good coverage by Mike Pollard.
So they lose 9 yards on the play, and Michael Sgrol on for the field goal, and he sneaks it through. 25-yard field goal for Michael Sgrol. Gets the Cardinal within 4. 14-10 USC on top. Eric Johnson set to kick off for the Cardinal. And here's Herschel Dennis. Takes it at the 1-yard line. Crossing the 20, up to the 21-yard line. Let's head to Times Square Stadium with an update from John Saunders.
Well, Georgia coming off that loss to Florida and trying to get it back against Ole Miss. Eli Manning's pass is picked off by Tim Jennings, who has nothing but clear sailing the rest of the way. 64 yards on the touchdown to break a 7-7 tie. Georgia up 14-7, Darren.
Thank you very much, John. Back here, it's 14-10. USC on top. Carson Palmer so far, 5 of 6, 65 yards and a couple of touchdowns. And here's Sultan Mccullough going into the middle. Now, you guys, I know you wanted to know about this Aflac trivia question answer. Again, the question is, how many Heisman Trophy winners attended USC and Stanford? Who were they? Here's the answer. Bam. Mike Garrett, O.J. Simpson, Charles White, Marcus Allen, and
Jimmy Plunkett, 1970. And a lot of people think that John Elway did in 82, but actually he was the runner-up to the Georgia tailback, Herschel Walker.
McCullough picks up 2 yards on the first play, 2nd and 8 for Palmer. Out to Mike Williams. They like that screen play, and they like it because he is a load to bring down. He reminds you of a guy in the NFL that plays across the bay, Terrell Owens.
Yeah, and Michael Williams at 6'5", 210 is a true freshman. He's got 50 catches coming into today. And as I said earlier, they ran 9 wide receiver screens 2 weeks ago against Oregon. That's the 3rd one today. What they're trying to do is get that young man out there in space with a wide receiver making a block in front of him and hoping that he can make a play.
They've been stretching him on the sidelines. His back has been bothering him. Look at the tighten up the formation here.
Punch set right here. Little scatter.
3rd and 2, and they're going to pass out of that. Pass deflected and intercepted. No! Oh,
Newberry dropped it.
Jared Newberry, the sophomore from Minneapolis, couldn't hold on.
Jared, that was Christmas early, man. You can't drop that one. That's huge. Now, here it is. It's key 3rd down play. Let's see who gets his hands up. That looked like 96, I believe, Oshinoa. But Jared Newberry has got to catch that football. It's going to cost him 40 or 50 yards on a punt, and it's a shame because Stanford could have had an opportunity to get right back in it.
It would have been a big victory there, but they'll take a small one. SC has to punt with this valuable, very potent offense. And Powell, it's a terrific punt by Malone. Powell still on his feet, though. USC is fumble on the play. Did the ground cause that?
Yep, the ref's pointing his hand to the ground, which tells you.
He was down. Darrell Rideau makes the tackle. 14-10 USC on top. They're liking what they're seeing thus far. 9:25 left to go here in the first half. 14-10, Stanford trailing, but their defense getting the job done. And this young quarterback has the benefit of having a pretty good running game today.
Yeah, their defense has held Southern Cal to 1 yard rushing, and I like their balance so far. Stanford, they've got 4 wide receivers out there. They're spreading out the USC defense.
Sole running back in the backfield is Tolan, and he'll take it on the draw play. Tries to stiff arm. may have gotten 2 yards. Let's take another look at this punt return.
See, Luke Powell, who led the nation last year, makes one guy miss, and now watch the shoestring tackle. His elbow's down. The ground can't cause a fumble, and that's a good job by the referee of saying down by contact.
Powell has been injured for much of the year. Had a sprained ankle against the San Jose. 2nd down and 8. They pick up 2 on the last play.
Still spreading the field, forcing USC to spread also.
Again, it's Tolan. This time he'll bring it out to the left side. But the Trojans are tightening up. Polamalu makes the tackle. No gain on the play. And again, we came into this game. Pete Carroll talked about he's going to put 8 in the box and make the freshman beat him.
Yeah, but so far, Kyle Matter's done a nice job. Now look at the last 2 games. It's been futile at best. Oregon 92 yards. That's total passing yards. And UCLA was horrendous at 75. Today, early in the 2nd quarter, he's already got 75. And what's even better about that is they're also running the ball effectively. So real good balance for Stanford.
The Cardinal 3 of 5 on 3rd down today. Screen pass. It's Carter. And he's brought down. Grootegoed makes the tackle, and now the Cardinal will have to punt it.
Yeah, I think Curry Carter needs to break that tackle. If he gets out of Grootegoed's grasp right there, it's a 1st down. Now they're going to have to punt it away.
So Eric Johnson, who does the kickoffs, will get set to punt it away. And Greg Carlson standing back at his own 37-yard line. High spiraling kick, and it will go out of bounds at around the 40-yard line, and we will be back. Our score 14-10 here in Palo Alto. So 14-10 our score. Darren Horton with Mike Mayock and Carson Palmer, who is 6 of 8 today. Pete Carroll not happy. And this is moments ago. He was talking to that defense saying he wants to see a better performance.
And remember, Pete Carroll's a defensive guy. He was a coordinator with the 49ers, Jets. You know, he's a perfectionist.
Complete out in the flat. It's Malaefou MacKenzie who picks it up. And ABC Sports presentation of college football is brought to you by Chevy Trucks. The most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. Marriott. Wherever business takes you, your Marriott awaits, and the United States Marine Corps. The change is forever. A lot of Trojan fans have made the trip up north. Complete out in the flat. Colbert with a juke move beats a tackler, goes upfield, and he's got a 1st down as he's knocked out of bounds. David Bergeron brings him down, pick up of 14 yards on the play.
And that's just physical ability. Look up at the top, 8 yards off. That is Lee Torrance. They're just going to throw the ball right here, and then it's 1-on-1. There's no blockers, there's no nothing. Right here, it's a 1-on-1 tackle. Torrance misses, and all of a sudden, Gary Colbert makes a big play out of a short pitch and catch.
We've talked about Kareem Kelly and Mike Williams, who's the talented freshman, but you talk to the offensive coaches at USC, they say Gary Colbert, he's been the most consistent of the bunch.
Yeah, he's a special kid. I really like him.
Quick pass. This time it's to the freshman Mike Williams, and again he breaks another tackle as he picks up a 1st down. Colin Branch able to drive him out of bounds.
It almost looked like a replay that time. Mike Williams to the weak side, and they're just, you get a look, Norm Chow has found something he likes. Weak side, 1-on-1. If those Stanford corners are going to lay off, Norm Chow is going to take advantage of it. There's Norm right there next to Lane Kiffin, the wide receiver coach.
Another pickup of 14 yards on the play. And the Trojans are having their way with this Stanford defense.
Now look, all of a sudden, see what they're doing? They can't get 7-8 yards away anymore.
Fargas through the middle, and he is still on his feet as he goes inside the 10-yard line. Big gain. Colin Branch brought him down. A 19-yard run by Fargas.
And this is why Fargas is starting at tailback. He's a north-south guy. Fullback will get a good block here. He's going to follow right in behind McKenzie. There it is. There's the seam. Missed tackle by T.J. Rushing, and that's why Fargas is playing. He's got world-class speed, but the coaches like the fact that he gets north and south real quickly.
He's trying to get a 6th year of eligibility. First and goal to goal, and again to Fargas, and this time he's going to bull his way in for the touchdown. So the guy from Los Angeles, his dad, Huggy Bear. We were talking to him yesterday. I said, "How's your dad doing?" He says, "Yeah, he's doing pretty good. He's got some projects over in Europe." And Justin Fargas, he just loves playing football. You know the story about how he went to Michigan and had the big leg injury. They had to actually re-break his leg. And it's so good to see him having success this season, coming off of one of the best games a week ago against Oregon. Kaleem's extra point is good. 21-10, SC on top. Justin Fargas blasts his way right through the Cardinal defense. And SC takes an 11-point lead. A 5-play, 58-yard drive by the Trojans. Justin Fargas going in from 7 yards out to give the Trojans the 21-10 lead here in the second quarter. 5:50 left to go until halftime. A high kick. And it goes through the end zone. That was a terrific kick. You know, Monday Night Football, it's going to be Al Michaels and John Madden pulling out the Yellow Blazers for Monday Night Football's historic 500th telecast. They've got the league's most intense rivalry. They'll reveal the game that you selected as the greatest in Monday Night Football history. Raiders and Broncos Monday night, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. And how about some of the players that have come from these schools and the records they hold on Monday night?
See this one right here? I take personal responsibility for that one with the 1982 New York Giants. Lofton, who's a Stanford grad and has a son on the team here, ran a reverse, and I was nowhere near him and kind of got a nosebleed going the wrong way.
Carter on the ground game. You talk about all the different people that have come out of each of these schools, right, and what they have contributed in professional football. Marcus Allen, 4 touchdowns against San Diego in '84. You remember so many of these games.
Right.
I know growing up for me, listening to Howard Cosell, and it's going to be fun to see. Are they going to make an extra big jacket for John Madden, or is he gonna have to squeeze into like Dandy Don's?
No comment there. All I know is when I was a kid, how excited I got when my dad would let me stay up till 9 o'clock and watch him play. Got a lot of memories for a lot of people.
Matter with the 3-step drop completes the Teyo Johnson, but SC all over that play. Jason Leach makes the stop on the play. Later on, we will have the Chevy players of the game at the conclusion of today's game. We'll have a player from each team. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. That coming up later on after the game.
Now, this is an important drive for Stanford because USC has separated for the first time at 21-10. There's 4.5 minutes left in the half. They can't afford to kick the ball back to USC right now. They've got to make a couple of first downs.
3rd down and 7.
Here they come.
Matter with a little time. Complete out to Luke Powell. Very close to first down yardage. But what a finish off by Troy Polamalu. I tell you, Polamalu is a vicious tackler.
He really is. And my concern with watching Stanford on tape was I thought Matter delivered the ball too late. Now you're going to see some blitz right in here, okay? Grootegoed over here. Watch what happens. 5 comes in. That's Deshaun Hill. He gets rid of the ball on time. Look at Polamalu, probably ran 30 yards to get a part of that tackle. That's incredible hustle by Polamalu.
He wasn't able to prevent the first down as they will move the chains on the play. Pick up of 8 yards.
And that's a really important first down for Buddy Stevens. But I look at that replay, and I see Polamalu lined up over the center at the snap of the ball and becomes a part of the tackle on the sideline. That's just the kind of relentless kid he is.
Got so much speed, and they say he's been playing at about 75% since the injury against Washington State. Matter to the ground. USC is tightening up the ground game.
About Oklahoma losing today, opening up the whole BCS issue, and Ohio State just getting past Purdue. So I guess from 8 undefeated teams a couple of weeks ago, we're down to 2.
Yeah.
Ohio State, Miami.
Yeah, your team. You, of course, Mike, went to Boston College. I know you were bragging all week about your Eagles.
Yeah, until today.
Funny how that happened. 4 receivers again. Buddy Stevens has been spreading out the USC defense throughout the night. Little play action from Matter. Feeling some pressure, rolling. Now he's going to keep it. And he'll pick up around 3 yards on the play as he goes out of bounds. John Saunders on the Capital One halftime show. Flying solo today. We understand Terry's feeling a little under the weather, and John will sort out the whole BCS picture for us.
You know what, though? You got to play hurt, man. I am so disappointed in Terry Bowden. And I know when he was coaching at Auburn, if he was a little sick, he'd have been on those sidelines now. Gets into the TV business, and all of a sudden he's a wimp.
3rd down and 5. I'll leave that one alone. I like my man Saunders, though, doing the NBA last night, switching over to college football. Matter complete out in the flat, and it's to Grant Mason, and they don't pick up much.
That was
on Hill.
Yeah, that was a late read by Matter on the corner blitz. He should have gotten rid of the ball more quickly, but a good job by Pete Carroll's defense, forcing him to throw the football on 4th down.
So on comes Eric Johnson to punt once again. 3:04. And Greg Carlson, who has been returning all the punts today, standing back at his own 30. Stanford got to get another player in.
That helps on Punt Pro. You'd like 11 in there at least for Punt Pro. They're coming.
Eric Johnson coming back. Flag on the play as Johnson is able to cross the 40-yard line. 33-yard punt by Eric Johnson, but we have a penalty. Gordon Reese, our referee today. Holding on SC, so they'll march off some more yardage against the Trojans. Penalty flag on the play. We talked to Pete Carroll earlier this week about Carson Palmer. Here's his thoughts on his young quarterback.
He has shown this tremendous consistency and accuracy that very few guys have. And it's because he's so beautifully mechanically sound. You know, the ball comes out the same all the time, whether he's on the run, right, left, full speed, pulling up, short stuff, stick the seam routes, throw the deep ball. He's got all of the things that you're looking for. He's a very good competitor, calm in the game, poised. You know, he can run real well, and he's 6'5". You know, I mean, there's nothing that he doesn't have.
We are back, 21-10. Here's Palmer looking upfield, looking deep. He's got a man. It's Colbert. No. They say he was bobbling it as he went out of bounds. But when you listen to Pete Carroll talk about Carson Palmer, it has some validity. Here's a guy that spent a lot of time at the NFL, and he says Carson Palmer right now is as good as anybody he ever coached in the league.
Everybody I've asked about Carson Palmer, it's been a lot of people, a lot of coaches, seen him on tapes and pro people. They've all agreed with Pete Carroll's assessment, and that is he's got the tools at 6'6", 230. He can make all the throws. He's an intelligent, hardworking kid, and because of the way he's played this year, he's probably played himself into a top 10 pick in the first round of the draft.
It's taken a while for him to blossom, but he looks great this year. Fargas slides as he tried to get outside. We got a flag on the play. But when he first came, Carson Palmer first came to USC, Paul Hackett was the head coach, and Paul Hackett, who Norm Chow says has a great system, but it's complicated. It takes a second or two to learn, and the people in New York, the New York Jets, where Paul Hackett's the offensive coordinator now, they're learning that Paul Hackett's system is good, but it takes time.
We talked up top. It's his third system in 5 years.
You talk about Carson Palmer, he's rewriting all the record books in Southern California. You see the touchdown, we told you about that. Past Rob Johnson, the passing attempts, the completions, the passing yards, the total offense. And the guy that he is looking to pass in the Pac-10 record book is a guy by the name of Cade McNow, and another quarterback here
Steve
trails
Stenstrom.
to Steve Stenstrom, yeah.
But he also picked up another record today with the 2 touchdown passes. He's now passed Rob Johnson on career touchdown passes.
After the holding penalty, they'll march him back to the 20, so it'll bring up 2nd and 20. See the record that Carson set today. Palmer moving out, and again, a bullet.
Really
Mike
well
Williams.
done.
Yeah.
That's really well done. They rolled him out. I had a concern earlier in the year about whether or not he could throw on the move. I thought he was a little stiff on the move, but the more tape I watched as the year progressed, he throws very, very well. Turns his shoulders and gets the... He's got a great arm. And now remember, on this play, he's rolling to his left. Okay, this is a difficult throw for right-hander. You got to square the shoulders, and there's the rocket to the 6'4" Williams. That's a great play. I mean, that's what a pro scout looks at and says, man, he can make a play.
Just like that, it was 2nd and 20, now 3rd and 4. They pick up 16 yards on the play.
Makeable 3rd down. Double tight, 2 backs, 1 wide receiver.
Play action for Palmer. He'll roll this time to the right side, and down he goes and fumbles on the way down, and he recovers it.
Amon Gordon didn't even know the ball was loose. He made the play on the sack and didn't know he forced the fumble.
And this is one area where Carson Palmer has gotten into trouble in the past. Against Washington State, he took a
holding on
sack like that.
He's holding on to the football too long, and then he tries to come over top of the helmet, and that's a bad move right there. The ball's loose. Luckily for Palmer, it fell right underneath the number 3 on his chest. That's a huge play by Amon Gordon, and Carson Palmer tried to do too much with that. Take your losses and get out.
Well, they'll lose 26 yards on the play, and they'll be forced to punt. Tom Malone will come on.
Stanford gets that recovery, that becomes a huge play.
They are resetting the game clock. There is a delay. Grant Mason, when they get things together, and they've called a timeout on the field. So we got a timeout on the field. We'll take a break here as well. 21-10 our score, USC on top. .21-10 our score. 4th down and 30. And Tom Malone on to punt it away for the Trojans. And he's feeling some pressure. Grant Mason from his own 41 and driven to the ground. Melvin Simmons, the linebacker, 48-yard punt by the Pac-10's best punter, Tom Malone.
Now, this is where we talked about at the top of the show. Somebody's got to make a play for Stanford. There's 2 minutes and 4 seconds left. They've got 2 timeouts, and they're 55 yards, 56 yards away from the touchdown. This is where you need a Teyo Johnson at 6'7", or you need a Luke Powell to step up and make a big play and at least get a field goal before the half.
Both of those players who have played well today had a couple of drops last week against Oregon. We mentioned Kyle Matter's longest completion, 18 yards coming into this game. Play action for Matter. He'll step up, feeling some pressure. They'll try to make something out of nothing. And again, it's Melvin Simmons bringing him down.
And that's a situation on bootleg where Johnson was open on the weak side. He could have just dished it right across the middle for about 15-yard gain, but the young quarterback was looking front side and didn't see it.
And more importantly, Mike, the clock is continuing to run.
Yeah, I don't know why they called that last timeout, because it burned a timeout for them when they didn't need to in the punt situation, and now they're down to a minute and a half. 4 wide receivers.
And they're taking their time with a long snap count. Matter again feeling some pressure, and this time he's gobbled up by the USC defensive front.
And they were coming from everywhere right there. Grootegoed, the outside linebacker, full blitz package, and that pretty much takes them out of any kind of serious field goal consideration now with 3rd and about 16.
And Van Brown combining on that sack. They'll lose 6 yards.
Grootegoed's an interesting kid. I mean, here's an outside linebacker. He's 5'11", 205-pound sophomore. He was a safety in high school. His favorite player is John Lynch, who played here at Stanford.
Yeah.
4 wide receivers. They need to make a play here. It's a cover 2 look. So look for right up the seams and then an outside route.
3rd and 15. Matter. Complete. It's Gary Crochet. He's not going to be anywhere near the first down mark. Marcell Almond brings him down. And now we'll get a timeout. Timeout on the field. 21-10. SC with the lead. 21-10 our score. 4th and 6 for Stanford. Buddy Teven's team trails by 11 points. They have been able to move the ball, but SC has tightened up the defense. Good kick by Eric Johnson. It's going to go through the end zone, and SC will get the ball with 29 seconds remaining from their own 20. A 52-yard punt by Eric Johnson. In case you've just joined us, SC got started with a 17-yard touchdown pass from Carson Palmer to Kerry Colbert. Stanford came back with a 6-yard touchdown from Matter to Ryan Wells, and we had a 7-7 game. And since then, the Cardinal have only managed 3 points, and Carson Palmer and the Trojan offense have been able to roll off 14 points. Fargas up the middle. He runs it so hard. He gets blasted that time by Colin Branch.
Good hit by the free safety Branch right there in the hole. And I think that's what we're going to see a lot more in the second half is offensive coordinator Norm Chow going to that run game, trying to get it going.
So and that's going to be it for the first half. Our score, 21-10, USC on top here in Palo Alto. Now let's go to John Saunders in Times Square Stadium.
All right, Darren, thanks a lot. Very interesting couple of weeks of college football on ABC. A week ago, we had 8 remaining unbeaten teams.
Got to make a big play somewhere down the road to win this football game.
What a beautiful evening it is here in Palo Alto.
Eric Johnson to kick off for Stanford. Fargas and Marcell Almond.
Buddy Teevens is starting to see a little bit of result of the experience that this team has gotten over the past couple of weeks. Some bright spots. The defense has been not bad. They've had their moments against this USC squad. And Justin Fargas has this one across the 25-yard line. He goes.
Justin Fargas, the returner.
As we take a look at the Pacific Life game summary, first half stats. What sticks out, Mike?
Well, obviously, the rushing yards at 7 for USC is a result of a 26-yard loss by Carson Palmer as a sack. But look, total yards. Stanford's winning. Time of possession. Look at that one. Are you kidding me? But that's not always a true indication of the game. And the bottom line is the stat that's not up there is USC's had the ball 3 times in the red zone and paid it off all 3 times with touchdowns.
Colbert goes in motion. Palmer with plenty of time. Scrambles a little bit and complete, but was he out of bounds? No. Yes, he was out of bounds. So Colbert, they say he slid out of bounds before he was actually out of bounds after he caught the ball.
You know, USC lost the first half in terms of yards, won the battle in terms of points where it matters. But look at the third quarter stat. They've come out. Pete Carroll's got them going at halftime, and they've thoroughly dominated the third quarter so far this season.
It's winning time now. This is where they like to get their work done.
And conversely, Stanford can't let them separate. You're down 11. You got an uphill battle here. You can't let SC separate.
This time Colbert in motion the other way. Again to the air. Colbert right through his hands. You don't see him do that very often.
No, I think his head was still on the out-of-bounds call from the previous play. He thought he was in bounds. He let that one go through. And here we are at 3rd and 10.
We got a flag on the play, and it's going to be against the Cardinal, roughing the passer.
And that's a killer. You just can't do that in a situation right here that Stanford's in. The big drop, a 7-step drop, the cut block, and we got Amon Gordon late. It's not a kill shot, but he ought to know better than that. It's a late shot to the head. They're going to call that every time.
Last week against Oregon, it was Michael Craven, the freshman, with a late hit that allowed a drive to continue for the Ducks.
Yeah, they would have stopped him for a field goal, but it gave him 1st and goal on the 2-yard line, and Oregon took it in.
USC with a 4 wide receiver set. 1st and 10.
Knew it, weak side.
3-step drop and complete. It looks like it's Colbert again.
That's Kareem Kelly, but it's just basic elemental play right there, and they're making a decision at the line of scrimmage. Trips to the field, Kareem Kelly by himself into the sideline, and the defensive back was 9 yards off. So all it is 2 3-step drop, let it go, move the chains. Real simple.
This is what USC does. They have that big play capability. Kareem Kelly, another reception today, so his consecutive games catching record will continue.
As did Howry's today, and if they both continue, it will be 47 apiece at the end of the year.
Fargas again just blasting through that hole. Pushing the pile back, picks up 5 on the play. Matt Leonard makes the tackle.
I really believe that Norm Chow has got to establish the run here in the second half. A couple of weeks ago, they had their tailback McCullough go for 176 yards against Cal. 2 weeks later, Fargas started and he went for over 100 yards. Bottom line is, they're a zone block offensive line. They need a north-south guy, and it can't be all about Carson Palmer by himself for the rest of the year.
I think sometimes when you have the luxury of that beautiful arm, you ride it a little bit much, as they're going to do right now. Quick pass, and the freshman wasn't even looking for it.
Carson Palmer pass intended for Mike Williams.
Yeah, they're just a little bit out of sync on this one. I thought they were going to take it to the post because there was no free safety in the hole. But watch right here. He's not even looking. The ball almost hit him in the ankle. Coverage by Stanley Wilson. I think Mike Williams on that didn't even think. I think he thought he was a decoy. He was just running a deep route, deep seam.
3rd and 5, and the Trojans have been 0 for 3 on 3rd down in this game.
And keep in mind, they haven't really made a play yet in the second half. They got a roughing the passer penalty. This is a key play.
Palmer again with time.
Beautiful
again
play.
with a bullet to Mike Williams and a big 1st down. Pickup of 25 yards on the play.
This is just a beautiful ball by Carson Palmer. You've got working against the zone. Michael Williams, there he goes on a deep dig route. That's about a 17-yard dig right there. The ball is delivered right on the number 1. Colin Branch, free safety, makes the tackle. But that play right there is why a pro scout likes number 3.
Also likes number 1, and he's only a freshman.
Yeah, he looks like a young Keyshawn.
Keyshawn was at practice on Monday. Was really impressed with him. Palmer again to the air. This time going to the end zone. Looking for Keary Colbert, but incomplete. When you talk about Mike Williams, here's a guy from Tampa, Florida, and he was overlooked by a lot of the Florida schools. They wanted to convert him to a tight end, and that's one of the reasons why USC was able to get him.
And apparently Keyshawn, who obviously plays for Tampa Bay and is a USC alumnus, apparently he stepped in and pushed him towards USC also.
2nd and 10 for Palmer. To the ground, Fargas. again, just churning those legs as he picks up 4 yards on the play. Next Saturday, we have another huge showdown in Pac-10. Reggie Williams and the...
See, now USC has a big advantage on 3rd and 6. They put in number 21. That's Malaefou MacKenzie. He can line up. Here he is right here as a fullback or a wideout. And if you're a defensive coordinator, you don't know where he's going to be. The offset eye, cross motion.
Colbert in motion. Play action to Fargas. They go back the other way. It's Colbert, and he's got a touchdown. That was almost too easy. That was a beautiful play.
Beautifully conceived play, off play action, busted assignment by Stanford. Offset eye. Here comes the motion man. That's Colbert. You've got to account for him. What he does is he falls down, fakes the block, gets up. Stanford defense falls asleep.
And this is one of the guys that defensive coordinator Mark Banker said he was so worried about. People asking him about Mike Williams. He said Keary Colbert's the guy that scares me. That's Ryan Killeen for the extra point. And that'll make it 28-10. SC on top here in Palo Alto. And welcome back. The Spirit of Troy having a good time here in Palo Alto. 28-10 is our score. USC on top. It's a low kick by Killeen. Wells has a problem handling it. He'll step back into the end zone for the touchback.
Sometimes you got to be a little bit of an actor. Watch the motion here. He's going to fake the cut block. That's Keary Colbert, and then rotate out in the flat. The other guy to watch right there is Stanley Wilson. When he sees the cut block, he stops right here. Watch what happens. Colbert comes out. There's a little cut block. Stanley Wilson disappears. It's a simple throwback, and all Colbert's got to do is walk in the end zone. Check it out. Fake block. Get up. Nobody's there. Bang. Touchdown.
Hey, they do go to school in Hollywood.
You can tell.
Oh, what a play. Matter with a quick pass out in the flat. Complete to Grant Mason. Oh. And our score, once again, 28-10. We're here in Palo Alto. Darren Horton along with Mike Mayock. USC on top by 18 points. But we've seen some flashes from the Cardinals.
Yeah, they've been efficient, but they've got to get the ball down the field because they're starting to compress the field now. USC's defense is all over them.
Here come the Trojans, and Polamalu pulls him down. He does so many things.
His ability gives them ultimate flexibility on defense. Last play, he made the tackle on the sideline. Look at him in this play. Comes through untouched. He's got 4.5 speed, wraps up the quarterback. They use him as a blitzer. They use him in deep coverage. They use him in man-to-man coverage, and he's the most sure tackler on their team. Nice scheme that time.
Third sack tonight by the Trojans will bring up a 3rd and 14.
And the nickel package.
Matter again with that long snap count. And again, here come the Trojans, and again they bring him down. Matt Grootgoed with his 2nd sack of the evening.
They're bringing the zone blitz package. That was Grootegoed and Darryl Rideau, the corner, both coming that time. We told you that stat coming out in the 3rd quarter, what USC does to people, and they got it going now.
Not to mention Pete Carroll, one of the best adjustment coaches in college football. Greg Carlson back to receive the punt by Eric Johnson. Snap is good. Kick is high, but pretty short. Carlson brings it back, and he's going to be pulled down maybe if he picks up a yard on the 39-yard punt. 28-10, our score. USC starting to flex its muscle. And welcome back, Pete Carroll and his Trojans on top, 28-10. Darren Horton, Mike Mayock with you from Palo Alto, California, home of the Stanford Cardinal. Carson Palmer has had a terrific night. 13 of 20, 168, no picks, 3 touchdowns passes. Play motion. Palmer with plenty of time, and now he'll keep it. Dives across the 40-yard line, picks up the first down. Let's take a look at our Tostitos BCS standing. And, we know what happened today. This is what things looked like when the day began.
Little shake-up. Bang. They're gone. That leaves 2 undefeated teams, Ohio State and Miami, which will be the top 2 teams, and also brings in some 1-loss teams. And there's number 9 USC, the only 2-loss team in the top 10 in the BCS.
And now Virginia Tech also losing to Syracuse tonight. They will slide out of the top 10. Okay. Second down and 1 on the play. Fargas blast through that hole with that acceleration. Picks up the first down. Matt Leonard makes the tackle. And let's take a look at the BCS standings. What's happening today? We talked about Oklahoma. Ohio State gets it done. Miami a winner. Texas a blowout win.
Big deal here for USC because Washington State took care of business.
Right.
State first place, undefeated in the Pac-10, 1 loss on the season. That, of course, to Ohio State.
Georgia leading right now.
Notre Dame won an ugly one with Navy.
Snuck one out. Offset eye, quick pass. It's to the freshman Williams. Fumble on the play and recovered by the Cardinal. It's Amari Gordon who gets it. And that's exactly what Stanford needed, a shot in the arm.
And this is one of those kind of freshman mistakes. There's the screen again, the wide receiver screen. He's going to cut up the field. Now put the football away. From behind, a good hit right there from behind. Trying to see who got the hit from behind. Is it Branch?
Yeah.
No, it's a Togway.
Yeah, Togway.
Togway strips the ball. Gordon comes up with it. That's a huge play.
First and 10 now for Kyle Matter. They'll work from the 25. Back to their running game. They started so well running the football and now trying to establish that once again. Mike Patterson on the last tackle. Talk about Kyle Matter. Consecutive pass completions tonight. He's 15 of 15.
14 for 14 at halftime. Neuheisel, obviously the coach here in Pac-10 right now. Washington 17 in a row. My only complaint with Matter right now is somehow we've got to get the ball down the field if they're going to do anything.
Well, we've seen a lot of little dump-off passes. Wells in motion for the Cardinal. 2nd and 9 out of the gun. Blocked and picked off. Udeze. Kenechi Udeze with a terrific play. So just like that, USC turns around and takes it away.
How athletic was that? And the thing I liked about it is the big fella, even though he dove to make it, every part of his body was down. He got up and wanted to run it in like the NFL. He gets hammered there, Kyle Matter. There goes the record. Big hit, forcing the ball to be delivered early. And a really athletic play by Udeze. And then he wants to get up and run with it, but you're not in the NFL yet, big fella.
Couple of years he'll be able to run that one in, but in college football, of course, you're down when the knee is down.
Let's see if Norm goes for the killer punch right here.
They have done so well off the turnovers. Little option kicked out, and a little bit too far for Sultan Mccullough.
Little bag of tricks there for Norm Chow, running option with his Heisman quarterback, 6'6", 230-pound Carson Palmer.
You get a chance to see just how varied that playbook is. We've seen just about all kinds of things, screen passes and
they love option. Yeah, they love that wide receiver screen. An option in the red zone is a good play. I think Pete Carroll's going, hey guys, come on. 3 wides and 1 back. They got Fargas back in at tailback.
They lose 6 on the play, bring up 2nd and 16. Now they'll go to the air. Palmer again with a bullet to his tight end for the touchdown. Alex Holmes. A 22-yard touchdown connection, and SC is really pouring it on now.
And a really well-designed play because the motion man, you see the motion man over here, that's Colbert. He's going to take the deep level, and underneath, here's Alex right here, opening up the 2nd level. And then the big fella's just going to ramble in. very well-designed play against zone, a couple different levels of receivers.
Ryan Killeen on for the extra point to make it an even 35, and it's through. 35-10. Carson Palmer with his 4th touchdown pass of the night, and SC up big. They are on their way to victory, 35-10 here in Palo Alto. USC early on had to struggle out of the gate, but now they've put it together, and Carson Palmer with 4 touchdown passes tonight.
And first-round draft pick by the Toronto Blue Jays in the 1988
Ryan Killeen set to kick off here. 7:44 left to go in the 3rd. Wells from his own 1 up the center of the field, and we got a flag down on the play. He's brought down at the 21-yard line. Let's see what Gordon Reese, our referee tonight, has to say about it.
Go from bad to worse here for Stanford.
Illegal block below the waist on the kicking team. That's 15 yards from the end of the run. First down, Stanford.
They can use that.
That's typically a wedge buster. Will go low on 2 or 3 or 4 guys in the wedge.
How about the job that this guy's done? Pete Carroll.
He's an impressive coach, and I think he's happy to be back on the West Coast. Coached out here with the 49ers for several years. You know, they started out 1-4 a year ago, and now he's got it going. You know, Norm Chow is a great offensive coordinator. They're playing well on offense, on defense, and they just got to step it up a little on special teams.
This is a little bit of a homecoming for Pete Carroll. He grew up in the San Francisco area. 1st and 10. Carter on the ground, pushes the pile ahead. Let's check in with John Saunders from Times Square Stadium in New York.
All right, Darren, thanks a lot. Michigan and Minnesota both 7-2. Big difference between those 7 wins of both teams. Chris Perry 16 yards on this run, and Michigan grabs a 16-3 lead. Add the extra point, 17-3. Pac-10. Cal just scored on a very long interception return for a touchdown. The extra point pending, and they lead Arizona State 34-24. Darren.
Thank you very much, John. 2nd and 6 here from Palo Alto. Pass out in the flat, and Casey Moore couldn't hold on. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Pontiac. The weather has held off. We were expecting some rain tonight. We got rain the first couple of days when we got up here. It was actually fun at practice with that storm, huh?
You think so?
3rd and 6 for Kyle Matter. Complete to Wells, and he gets popped, but he's got a first down.
Polamalu had the siren on. He saw the slant coming, and man, did he finish off that play. Give Wells credit for holding on to the football.
That'll make you think about it twice, huh?
Well, that's why this kid's going to be a first-round pick in the NFL. Watch him come. He just flashes everywhere. Every time I watch this kid, I isolate on him. He flashes everywhere. Full speed.
They say he's been feeling a lot better. Had one of his best practices before they came up to Palo Alto.
They got to take a couple deep shots. They got to get USC off them.
Quick step drop, nearly picked off. Grootegoed met Powell at the ball.
Or that's going to continue to happen. They've compressed the field. The linebackers and safeties are playing tighter. You've got to take a couple shots. Even if you don't complete them, you've got to take some shots.
2nd down and 10 on the Trojan 48.
You talk about Luke Powell, and this year really has struggled, has had injuries, had a chronic groin problem, which kept him out of spring ball. And just take a look at the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, he had 21 catches over 30 yards coming into this year, 1 this year. He was averaging over 20 a reception, only 10 this year. He's been hurt, but you got to make plays.
2nd and 10, and here come the Trojans again, and Matt Grootgoed has his 3rd sack of the night.
He's got a big smile on his face. He's not even getting blocked right now, and that's where Kyle Matter has got to get his line in the right protection, and he's got to understand who's going to come clean unblocked.
We talked about it a little bit earlier, but it bears repeating. Kyle Matter has a lot to learn. He actually wasn't slated to start the season. Chris Lewis, the junior from Long Beach, who played a lot last year, came in as the starting quarterback, but had some problems, couldn't start the first game. And then Kyle Matters forced into action after Lewis was injured against Arizona. We've got a timeout on the field. Stanford calls a timeout. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Our score, 35-10. The number 9 team of the BCS standings pouring it on. And welcome back, Buddy Teevens, still trying to get his point across to his young football team. They're filled with freshmen and sophomores in the starting lineup, and they got a lot to learn to get this fun and gun down. 3rd down and 17.
And you know what, Darren, that's a really good point, because under Tyrone Willingham, the offense was completely different, a lot simpler. Tyrone's more of a control guy. His quarterback's going to come up on the line, have a primary read and a secondary read, and that's it. This offense is completely different.
One of the things that this young quarterback has to learn is how to read some things from the line of scrimmage. A little pump fake, and he overthrew his man. He was looking for Grant Mason. But you talk about the old offense under Tyrone Willingham. The quarterback used to be able to walk up to the line of scrimmage. He would know who his primary receiver was. He would know who his secondary receiver is. But a little bit different.
And you can see Buddy right now is teaching. He's trying to tell Kyle what he saw out there. And the difference is this year, Kyle Matter comes out of the huddle. He pre-reads the defense. He has the ability to check off to any play he wants. And then after the snap of the ball, they also have to sight adjust, which means the quarterback and receivers have to make adjustments on the fly after the snap. It's a whole different ball game for both the quarterbacks and the receivers.
That's a lot to learn. Carlson.
That looked like one of my returns in college. I was fake left, fake right, and I returned it 6 feet 2 inches.
Well, you're looking at a very impressive USC program. Here's Pete Carroll's take on where he thinks this program is right now.
I like to see us consistently winning in the Rose Bowl. That's you know, the national stuff isn't really a concern to me. It's really the Rose Bowl is everything to me in our program. And we know you're consistently going back and winning the Rose Bowl. And that's who the Rose Bowl is kind of becomes synonymous with USC again. That's what we're working towards.
You think that's a little odd for a coach to talk about the Rose Bowl as opposed to the national picture?
Not at all. I think most coaches focus in on their conference championship as the primary goal of the season.
Sultan Mccullough dancing a little bit, and that's one of the reasons why we've seen more of Justin Fargas. The coaches say they love Sultan McCullough's speed, but Fargas is more of a north-south guy.
Yeah, no question. And now we talked about how the stat was 60-17 coming into the game with a 14-0 advantage right now with 4:50 left in the 3rd quarter. They continue their 3rd quarter domination.
And I'd imagine you give a lot of that credit to Pete Carroll.
Ready to play, you make some adjustments, and you go.
Flag on the play. Let's see what Gordon Reese says.
Full start. Offense. 5 yards previous spot. Still 2nd down.
Monday night, Al Michaels, John Madden, they pulled out the Yellow Blazers from Monday Night Football's historic 500th telecast. They've got the league's most intense rivalry. They'll reveal the game you selected as the greatest in Monday Night Football history. Raiders and Broncos, Monday night, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Yeah, you think the Trojans have placed a couple of players in the big leagues?
That's fairly impressive.
400 players drafted. Palmer, back to Williams. Again, that little screen play. He is so long. Just the length of his body at 6'5", 3 or 4 yards as he goes down. Babatunde Ushinoa makes the tackle, and you see the Trojans in the NFL. 39 current players in the NFL, 400 players drafted all time, and they've had the most players drafted 17 of the last 26 years.
Now, when I was a freshman at Boston College, we had 8 kids drafted, and that was 3rd in the country. Number 1, almost double that, was USC with 14.
Palmer again, back to pass, feeling some pressure, and down he goes. Jared Newberry, the sophomore from Minneapolis, making the tackle.
They like Newberry, big kid, 6'3", 235. Coming right up the middle on a delayed blitz. Palmer has no chance. This is where you got to secure the football. Right here, get down, don't lose the football. Sometimes Palmer tries to make too much happen, and that's where he fumbles or throws an interception.
That's about the only thing he's done wrong tonight. Tom Malone on to punt for USC. Snap is good. A short punt, rolling and taken on the fly by Grant Mason. Great play. Darrell Rideau brings him down. 35-yard punt by Malone. You see Buddy Tevens, he was so positive yesterday. He says this is part of college football. Part of developing a winner is facing a little bit of adversity.
And let's think about the programs. Pete Carroll is into his second year now, but he started 1-4. It took a while for his offense under Norm Chow to take effect. No different with Buddy Tevens right now. They're 2-6. He's got a new offense, a new defense, and they've got to give him a little time. Comes Polamalu.
Carter up the middle. Stood up. A helmet falls off as Carter is brought back. But the Trojans were all there. Kenechi Udeze, the leader.
Polamalu, he came up from deep safety, comes up to an outside defensive end position. The play's away from him. Why not just jump on? Go ahead, jump on, Troy. There you go. Why not? He's just one of those kids, like being a kid again. You just got to get involved.
Mike Pollard's helmet comes off. What a warrior he is. Here's a guy that they say is playing about 85%. Second down and 8 from Matter. Play action.
Nice ball.
Caught. Fumble on the play. And it was Polamalu again. And this time it's recovered by the Cardinal. He is everywhere.
This entire game we've talked about how he flashes. The acceleration this young man has is incredible. This is a well-thrown ball by Matter. I really like the pass. It's on time. He's in a deep zone. Now watch the burst. He sees it. There's the strip. Bang. He just makes every play that a safety has to make. He covers. He hits. He can play zone. He can play man.
And he is a violent tackler. 33 solos, second on the team, an interception. You've seen him get a sack tonight. Third down and 4. I formation for the Cardinal. Carter, and guess who brings him down? Mike Pollard, and Polamalu was looking. He wanted to get another.
Well, it's interesting. Buddy Tevens told us yesterday, talking about Polamalu, he said not only is he a great player, but Buddy had a chance to meet him at the Pac-10 meetings, and he said he's one of the nicest kids I ever met. He said, I really root for the kid, except for when he's playing me, of course.
So it's fourth down, and it looks like Buddy Tevens is going to go for it.
Well, he's taking notes. You know what he's writing? Find me a Troy Polamalu somewhere.
I need a number 43.
Somebody find me that kid. And make sure he's a good student.
Matter, quick drop. Powell couldn't hold on. John Sanders standing by for an update from Times Square Stadium.
All right, guys, Kansas State against Iowa State. Seneca Wallace, he rolls to his right. Bobby Walker steps in front, picks it off, and then has pretty much clear sailing. Wallace, one shot to get him, and he can't. Gets into the end zone before he fumbles it 45 yards in the touchdown. Meantime, Arizona State is fighting back against Cal. 35-30, Cal with the lead as they look to get back to the 500 mark. Darren, back to you.
Thank you very much, John. And you talk about Kansas State. That was one of the teams that beat USC earlier this year. They had some kicking problems in that game, some special teams problems that hurt them. 35-10 our score here, under a minute to go in the third. Palmer up top looking for his man, and it's caught. What an adjustment by Malaefou MacKenzie. They are so deep, Mike.
They've got 4 tailbacks, and it gave them the ability to move him to fullback and also split him out when necessary. He's going to run a wheel route, which is up here like that. Watch him. Out to the flat and up. He's got a linebacker trying to cover him, Newberry. Advantage McKenzie. He makes a very athletic play, but it gives Pete Carroll and Norm Chow an opportunity to use him in a variety of different positions.
He plays fullback. You'll play tailback. You'll see him out in the slot. Here in the offset I. They pitch it. It's McKenzie again, and he's got all kinds of room. Up the left side, cuts back inside the 15-yard line before Colin Branch can bring him down. A pickup of 37 yards.
Now they've got it going a little bit. McKenzie on the old toss sweep that SC loves. Watch him tightrope on the sidelines. Does he step out? No. Good job by McKenzie before the tackle finally at the end of the play by Colin Branch.
And you're talking about a guy who had a rough year last year. His dad passed away, and he ended up taking off time last year to deal with that and some other issues, and feels good to root for a guy like that. Fargas now in the backfield as they change their look. Palmer again to the air, looking underneath, but it was dropped by Keary Colbert, and that's going to do it for the third quarter. Our score is 35-10, USC on top. Another strong third quarter by the Trojans. Troy Polamalu putting on a show here in Palo Alto. Stanford, SC up 35-10, first and goal on the 4. McKenzie into the end zone, touchdown. Not a bad way to begin the fourth.
And McKenzie really was the horse on that drive, and that's why they wanted to give him a chance to score. He had the big play on the wheel route earlier to get him down in the red zone.
We've seen McKenzie, we've seen Fargas, we've seen Williams. Colbert has contributed.
Wait till you see Herschel Dennis, the true freshman tailback, who they're not really showing too many people. He's special, that kid.
One of the top high school backs coming out last year. Deline puts it through. Now to make it 42-10.
14 minutes and 56 seconds to play in the game. USC
71-yard drive. What a night for Carson Palmer. 18-25, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns, and the spirit of Troy playing right to the Stanford crowd. Want to make sure they get big here.
Give him a good look. Now, I got to tell you, though, now take a look at the difference in the bands. Now, the Stanford band, if you caught any of their halftime entertainment, Darren, every other word that they used at halftime were words you and I would never understand.
They are the Leland Stanford Junior University Marching Band, a little unorthodox.
Here's what Jack Graham uses, our producer, when he plays golf in the rain. Is that you, Jack?
Number 21. Boy, this team is good. And you know, you look at his scoreboard and you see 42-10, and one of the things about college football is a team that doesn't get it together early on, you will be penalized, and USC took a moment to gel.
The reason I like this USC team is because they're one of the few teams in the Pac-10 that will actually play defense. And I don't mean that as a huge shock, because they have some of the greatest offensive groups in the country, but they really get after it on defense here, and I like that.
And we've got a flag down before this kick even gets off. Gordon Reese has had a pretty busy night.
That's why he's in shape. He had to run 70 yards there with the football. Something no Stanford players done this year.
Delay game by the kicking team, 5 yards and a re-kick.
He does look like he's in pretty good shape there.
Now he's got to run 70 the other way. They're all laughing. Delay of game on a kickoff with the score 42-10. Come on.
Well, that guy, Buddy Stevens, he's still coaching his team, and you know, again, the adversity that they have to overcome.
it's all about installing your system, your program, and you need time. Some of the alumni are already getting a little restless here, but he can overcome that as long as he beats Cal the last game of the season.
Wells from the 6. Big hole. Crosses the 40-yard line. Pickup of 34 on the return. Time for us to take a look at the Pacific Life game summary.
Remember, at halftime, the statistics actually favored the Cardinal. But flip it around and look what kind of third quarter they had. All of a sudden, the defense held. SC jumped out there with offense, and they blew it away. Huge third quarter. And Darren, they scored 14 in the third quarter, but another 7 on the first play of the fourth quarter. So it just shows you what kind of drives they put together.
You could actually credit that to the third. 6 yards. Just 6 yards in the second half.
Comes Polamalu again on the weak side blitz. He gets there late.
Matter overthrew his man. Powell had a footstep on Rideau, but he would have had to hit him right on the numbers. You look at what happened today, Texas A&M, of course, the big story. They knock off number 2 Oklahoma, so we're going to have a big shift to the BCS standings.
Yeah, but how about Miami hanging in there on the road in Knoxville and taking care of business with the University of Tennessee? I think that'll put them at it could put them at number 1 with Ohio State at number 2.
Syracuse got a big win.
I knew you were going to drop that one in there, Mr. Syracuse.
Play action for Matter. Looking for Teyo Johnson again off the mark. And now you're starting to see some of the frustration setting in.
I don't think he's thrown a pass more than 12 to 14 yards down the field. First half, 14 for 14. Now, at 95 yards, that's under 7 yards per completion. That's low. Now, the second half, obviously, much worse. But my point is, even if you don't complete the pass, you still have to take shots because you can press the field, and SC got tighter and tighter and tighter because there's no threat of a deep ball.
Really not his forte. Matter. Camarillo in motion. They come back to Wells. He's got some blocking in the center of the field, and he crosses the 50, and he's very close to a first down.
Tackle by number 88.
Will Butler makes the tackle for the Trojans. Pickup of 12 yards on the play.
Well conceived play. Ryan Wells made some people miss, and Polamalu again on the blitz almost got there. And I love watching that guy play football.
Just a reminder, Thrifty postgame report. Thrifty car rental postgame report coming up with John Saunders, time permitting. Get you up to date on all the action that happened today. Of course, have highlights of that Oklahoma upset. Play action once again. Matter this time out in the flat. Teyo Johnson makes one miss. So strong, and you know he was an all Pac-10 freshman last year. They had real high expectations for Teyo Johnson this year, but he just hasn't had the continuity at quarterback to get it done.
It's a whole, and we talked to him Thursday. It's a whole different offense for Teyo Johnson. He told us that last year under Willingham, he knew coming out over the line of scrimmage what pattern he was going to run and when the ball was going to be delivered. Now there's just so much mental work that goes into understanding this very, very difficult pass offense, but it's just going to take some time.
Yeah, remember he came here as a quarterback, so he had a really unique perspective as he looked at the playbook. High formation on 2nd and 2. More play action. Knocked down Darryl Rideau with a terrific play, but now they throw the flag.
Now, I thought that was a pretty good football play by Rideau.
Luke Powell with a little litigation and pays off.
This is two clones going at each other. They're both 5'8". Check them out down here. Right here, 5'8", 170. Remember, in college football, you're allowed to get your... Okay, he's a little early.
Yeah, see...
Man.
Defensive backs, I mean...
Well, we stick together. I mean, come on. Every rule change in the last 20 years has been for the offense. Give us a break. Let us hit somebody.
Wow, 42-10 our score. Darren Horton, Mike Mayock with you, and an impressive performance by these Trojans. They're defensively very sound. Took them a second to kind of figure out what was going on. But once they figured it out, and Pete Carroll is not a better defensive guy in college football.
4 wides, 1 back. Love to see him look down the field in the seam.
Matter again with that three-step drop, and now he'll roll out. Little juke move and picks up maybe 3 yards. Melvin Simmons was the linebacker he faked out. Pick up of 5 yards officially.
Melvin, of course, was a transfer from Washington State. Had to sit out last year. They call him champ.
One of those guys from Compton, part of the Compton connection. He, Justin Wyatt, Lawan Ramsey, all from Dominguez High School in Compton, California. 2nd down and 5. Matter again to the air. Complete. It's Crochet. He's brought down by Marcell Almond after picking up 11 yards. Polamalu also getting in on that tackle.
Now, Crochet is a redshirt freshman, and the coaches told us yesterday that he and Mason have really earned some extra playing time because of the way they've worked hard in practice. They've really stepped their game up.
Interesting. He's one of the quick guys that Buddy Tevens wants to ultimately get into this offense. He runs a 4.4 40. Those are the kinds of athletes that Buddy Tevens had down in Florida. And it's going to take a minute for these guys to get on the same page.
Throw it in the corner.
Touchdown. Teyo Johnson with the reception.
That's his 7th touchdown reception of the season. He's the only Stanford wide receiver with a touchdown so far this year. He sees the coverage. He breaks to the edge. He's got Almond beat. Now just throw it up in the air. He's 6'7". He uses his body and just cradles it before going out of bounds.
Michael Sgrol with the PAT. That'll take a little of the sting out. 42-17 our score. The basketball player going up, catching a touchdown.
Washington faces Oregon next Saturday, 12:30 Pacific on ABC.
An 11-yard touchdown reception by Teyo Johnson. A small consolation for that score that you see there, 42-17. Fargas will take this, crossing the 20, 25, 30. Flag is down as he crosses the 40. Hurdles a man as he gets out to the 50. But we do have a flag down on the play. So they'll bring that back. Gordon Reese calling holding against the Trojans. 13:06 remaining in this one.
He'll make a block in the back by the receiving team doing a run back. 10 yards from the bottom of the foul. 1st down.
California and Arizona State now tied in the 3rd.
Keep in mind, Arizona State, like USC, only has 1 loss in the Pac-10. But the advantage there goes with USC because they beat them head-to-head.
(42-17). They pitch it to Sultan Mccullough. He's brought down. Tomorrow, don't miss round 2 of the ISU Grand Prix Series of Figure Skating Crucial Championship television.
Once again, 5th week in a row, Carson Palmer having a huge day. No interceptions is what I like. Look at the completion percentage and the touchdowns. Great day for Palmer.
The screen play out in the flat to Keary. Colbert picks up the 1st down before he's brought out of bounds by Udeze.
You know, USC is trying to mount a Heisman campaign right now for that guy, Carson Palmer. 4 or 5 weeks ago, I would have said no way. But there's no clear-cut favorite more than any time I can remember in my life. People just keep falling by the wayside. You know, who's going to be the Heisman winner this year?
Picks up 12 yards on that play. He certainly is a terrific candidate, especially if you consider the 2 previous games coming into this one, 800 yards passing and 9 touchdowns. McCullough picks up 3 on that play.
You know, Palmer said that he really hasn't thought much about it. He's kind of sneaking in the back door, which isn't a bad way to do it. You know, I think Seneca Wallace's history, they got buried again. They're getting buried again right now by Kansas State.
Dorsey was injured again.
Claret was hurt today. Dorsey's had, you know, he's probably the front runner, but he doesn't have huge numbers. If Miami falters, so could he.
It's interesting now, 4th quarter, you can see him pad some of these numbers. Miscommunication there between Carson Palmer and Kareem Kelly.
And I think he and Jason Gessler from Washington State, 2 top candidates, right? 2 of the top candidates right now.
I like Washington State's campaign. They've got a big poster on a silo up in a small town in Washington.
And poking a little fun there at Oregon, what they did in Times Square.
But again, SC they need to see something from Washington next week and/or UCLA, the 2 opponents that Washington State has left. Palmer again underneath to his tight end, Alex Holmes, who collides very close to a first down as he crosses the 35-yard line. Let's take a look at the Pac-10 bowl situation. Of course, the Pac-10 #1 team will go to the Rose Bowl, and then it's the Holiday Bowl after that. A lot of people feel like USC will end up there. Of course, the Sun Bowl, the Insight.com Bowl, the Sega Las Vegas Bowl, where USC was last year in the Silicon Valley, all with ties to the Pac-10.
But don't forget, there are 6 BCS championship teams that get an automatic invite. The 6 BCS champs of their conferences, but 2 at-large bids.
McCullough again dancing, and he pays the price as Matt Leonard brings him down. You know, there's a lot of people that have been talking about USC potentially sneaking into that BCS picture.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's sneaking in. The qualifications necessary are that you've got to win at least 9 games, and if SC wins out, they're going to be 10-2, and you've got to be ranked in the BCS top 12. Right now, they're number 9. If they win out, they'll probably move up. So they'll meet the BCS qualifications. The question is, does the Sugar or Orange Bowl want USC?
2nd and 14. Palmer again, the fake. Now he'll go long up the sideline and threw it away. Looking for USC's basketball player, Greg Gunther. We talk about what USC has left. They say this is their final push. They'll get the victory today against Stanford. Next week, they've got Arizona State at the Coliseum, and then the big one against UCLA at the Rose Bowl this year. And, of course, they will close it out on a game that you can see here on ABC Sports, November 30th, the big one against Notre Dame.
And Washington State, as we said, took care of business today to remain undefeated. They have next week off, then they host Washington, and then on December 7th, they're at UCLA. So things are still alive out there.
3rd and 13. Palmer again with that pump fake, and he's got his man. It's Kareem Kelly up the sideline inside the 20-yard line for a big gain. Colin Branch brings him down. Pick up of 50 yards.
Now, Kelly came into this game with 190 career catches, 2nd for USC, but watch the touch on the football by Carson Palmer. The double break, horrible job right there by Lee Torrance. The safety comes over the top, but the ball's too well delivered. Porter Torrance knew he had help, but you at least got to get a shot on him to slow him down. I can tell you as a safety, the worst thing you can see is your corner do a little oops on the wide receiver on a 2-deep zone.
Everybody thought Kareem Kelly was going to be the man this year, and it's turned out that the freshman Mike Williams has kind of stole the show, but Kelly is very, very good. Palmer again underneath, and a nice defensive play. Was that Torrance redeeming himself?
or was that Colbert dropping his 2nd or 3rd pass of the day, which is surprising?
2nd down and 10 on the Stanford.
I'll give it to these Cardinal. They fight to the end. And it's interesting right now, about 10 minutes to go. You know, you would never wish anything on anybody, but you got this one in hand. You'd wonder about maybe protecting your quarterback, but obviously there is a campaign for Carson Palmer. he's going to get an opportunity to put up some numbers.
If I'm Pete Carroll, this is his last series. I'm more concerned about his health than any Heisman campaign.
Again, a screen. Again to Kelly. Still on his feet. Across the 10-yard line, very close to a first down before Brian Gaffney brings him down.
And it's 42-17, and the coach's son in me would say, why are they throwing the football right now in the fourth period up 42-17? I think it's Norm Chow and Pete Carroll trying to reinforce their system to their kids, get as many reps as they can. My preference would be, however, that they run the football and kind of call the dogs off.
Last couple of catches have padded the numbers for Kareem Kelly. 3 catches, 69 yards. Gaffney in motion for the Trojans. McCullough down to the 6-yard line. And they get the first down. Trey Freeman makes the tackle.
Trey had 10 tackles last week against Oregon. McCullough had 176 yards against Cal. How'd you like to be McCullough if you gain 176 yards against Cal and then lose your starting job 2 weeks later?
And they like McCullough. It's just that they feel like Justin Fargas is a little more of a north-south guy. McCullough, who is the fastest running back in the history of Trojan football. A little bit too much jukes, although the jukes pay off there.
Looked pretty good to me. You blink and he's in the end zone.
6-yard touchdown for USC to make it 48-17. So Ryan Killeen. Straight down the middle. 49-17. The men of Troy with a huge lead in Palo Alto. And not a bad night for Carson Palmer here in Palo Alto. Darren Horton, Mike Mayock with you. 22 of 32, 317, 4 touchdowns. Ryan Wells will pick this up across the 20, and he will immediately be gang tackled. And as the Stanford offense makes the field, let's take a look at the Pontiac performance drive summary.
That pretty much sums it up. Out of the last 7 possessions, you've had 4 punts. You lost it on downs once, an interception, and then a good little drive the last one, 7 plays for 30 yards and a touchdown. So 6 out of 7 have been negative and finally punch it in.
They were able to cash in that one that they got in USC's territory. So Kyle Matter's experience continues. Learning on the fly. Back to the ground. Carter off a draw play. Kicks it outside. Picks up 14 yards on a play and a first down. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by the Southern California has come as they want to be. They talk about hard cold. They've had some hard knocks tonight, especially by Polamalu. And Carter with a little stiff arm before he's brought down. And William Buchanan able to make the stop. Right now, you got 8 minutes left in the game, Mike. If you're Buddy Tevens, what are you trying to accomplish right now in this football game in terms of the experience for these kids?
Well, you can see that stat right there. That's what your concern is. Your kids have gotten steamrolled now 3 weeks in a row. You're trying to implement your program, and Buddy's saying, okay, we just need to stay the course. Don't lose your heads. Let's run the ball, pass the ball. Let's try and win this last 4th quarter. Once you lose the kids, you've lost your season. You got to keep them believing. You got to get better every day.
It looks like they're about 3 inches shy. 8 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter. Things started off very competitively. Ryan Wells caught a 6-yard touchdown pass early on in the first to tie things at 7, but since then it's pretty much been USC's game.
And Darren, up front, we talked about for Stanford to win the football game, they had to find a way to make a big play, which they haven't done all year. And right now, with 8 minutes left in the game, their longest play from scrimmage is a 17-yard reception. That's not going to get it done.
Are you surprised they haven't taken more shots downfield?
Yeah, I am. I'm very surprised at that.
7 inches. And Matter looks to have it. Again, we are in Palo Alto, California. Hall of Fame weekend actually here for Stanford. Darren Horton along with Mike Mayock, USC and Stanford. This is actually USC came in with plenty of incentive. They had lost the previous 3 games and some real heartbreakers against Stanford, and they have gotten their revenge tonight.
Yeah, Tyrone Willingham had him three years in a row by a grand total of 11 points.
Matter again to the air. Now he'll go downfield. In and out of the hands of Garen Crochet. They had 2 drop passes last week. Justin Wyatt with some tight coverage, and you can't necessarily fault him on this one. It wasn't like he was wide open, but he could have had it.
Yeah, but my contention as a former defensive back is if nobody takes a shot on you, you can sit on people. If you just have the threat of a deep pass, you've got to respect it. And that's the first time all day they've thrown the ball beyond 15, 17 yards.
See, one of the bright spots this year, number 81, Alex Smith, their tight end. He's been their second leading receiver, and here comes the blitz again, and they will get him once again. Melvin Simmons this time, this junior from Compton.
Melvin's the weak side linebacker, but they brought him right over the A-gap, which is between the center and the guard, untouched. Remember, he's a weak side. Here he comes sneaking in from the weak side. A-gap, nobody touches him. They bust the block, and you can't do that against a defense like USC.
And if he would have missed him, number 27, Jason Leach, was right there to get him. The 6th sack of the night for USC. 3rd and 19 after they march off the yardage. Play action. Matter going upfield again, looking for Teyo, and ooh, he paid the price. And now they will throw the flag as Polamalu wanted to make Teyo Johnson pay for it. I don't know, Mike. I guess they're saying that Teyo Johnson never had a shot for the ball.
That's what they're saying. Now Teyo reaches up the hand there, and I have to be honest with you, I'd have taken that shot every time. Every time. I mean, Teyo didn't even extend as far as Teyo should have extended to try and get to the football, and I don't think he could have held himself back. Of course, I played safety, and I'm trying to be honest.
15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
So automatic first down.
I mean, let's take a look at this again. I mean, Polamalu's coming at full speed, and let's see if we can look at this in real speed, not slow-mo. He's coming after this as fast as he can run. And the ball's in the air. You got a 6'7" receiver. You got to go get it. I think that's a fair play.
I'm with you, my man.
Yeah, I got one convert.
They hand it off to Ben Johnson, their redshirt freshman. As the clock continues to tick down, 49-17 here in Palo Alto. He picks up a yard on the play. Cal taking the lead over Arizona State. They've got about 14 minutes left to go in that one.
I always can't believe the scores in this conference. Every game looks like overtime.
Matter.
Wide
through his man. Crochet again was open.
Crochet was wide open. They picked up. Here's a situation where the receiver was open. They picked up the blitz. They did everything right, and the quarterback misfired. See, they're having a discussion right now. Crochet said, "I sat down." Matter said you were supposed to continue going to the sideline.
Well, Matter, one of 3 quarterbacks from Hart High School, but he has not shown his ability to throw the ball down the field.
Take a shot with this guy. There's nobody in the deep outside.
But they're going to march off some yardage. I believe a man on the left side of the line of scrimmage was offside for the Cardinal. Somebody jumped early.
Before the snap, full start, offense, 5 yards from the previous spot, still third down.
False start, the penalty against Stanford. Ball spotted at midfield, third down and 14.
(49-17) our score. Just under 6 minutes to go here in Palo Alto. Big weekend next weekend. We come towards the end of the college football season. A lot of people like Ohio State, but remember they still have Michigan.
Ohio State, that's right, still has Michigan. Miami still has Virginia Tech, which lost to your alma mater today, and it'll be spoiling to upset them.
I was going to say Miami still has Syracuse, but I don't think that'll be a factor. 3rd and 14 for Matter again with some play action. This time going deep, again looking for Teyo Johnson. Polamalu out there showing you his coverage ability.
And that's what I wanted right before that penalty. I said, throw it down the seam to this guy. He's 6'7". He runs a 4.5 40. At least he tells us he runs a 4.5. And Polamalu's, you know, he's 5'10". Now Matter's going to get his clock cleaned here, but that's what happens on a deep ball. It's a double. You know, that's part of being a linebacker. You take the hit from William Buchanan, who's coming on a weak side blitz.
So 4th down and 14, time to punt. Eric Johnson gets it away. It's a short one, goes out of bounds. And we've got a break on the field. 49-17 our score. And welcome back. Matt Castle, backup quarterback, sophomore from Northridge, California, getting a shot tonight. He goes to work. They hand it off to their other freshman, Herschel Dennis. So you're going to get a chance to see the future of USC football tonight. We talked about Dennis. They're so excited about him. Here's the sophomore Matt Castle from Chatsworth High School in Northridge. They really like him. He's going to be the guy that's going to get the reins next year.
6'5", 225, sophomore. Only thrown one pass coming into tonight, so obviously Carson's gotten almost all the work.
Grant Matto's in motion. Play action, flag down, whistles blow. It has been the Carson Palmer show tonight here in Palo Alto.
Before the snap, full start offense, 5 yards from the previous spot, still second down.
And that happens often when you put a new quarterback into the game. A little different rhythm than your starter.
Just over 5 minutes to go.
Following the penalty, the ball is moved back to the 20-yard line. Second down and 15.
How about this guy? He's up there alone. Still rooting for his Cardinal. Hanging in there. They lose 5 on the penalty, and here you see the burst by Herschel Dennis spinning across the 30-yard line, and another flag is down. Lee Torrance makes the tackle.
And that's the kid I'm excited to watch a little bit. Herschel Dennis, true freshman, 5'11", 175, out of Foley High School.
Last year, he came out of high school. He and Lorenzo Booker, everybody wanted them. Florida State got Booker, and USC was thrilled to sign Herschel Dennis.
I want to know how good that high school team was, because USC starting right tackle Winston Justice, the other true freshman's from the same high school, they went something like 39-1-1.
Also Darryl Rideau.
Illegal crackback block on the offense. Half the distance to the goal from the spot of the foul. Still be second down.
Deshaun Hill, also from Poly. They've got a good team this year as well.
I mean, there's Justice. That young man has a huge future. For a 300-pound, 18-year-old kid, he's got great feet. He played with Herschel Dennis, and when they played De La Salle, which was a national champ last year, Dennis had 20 carries for 161 yards. That's 8 yards a pop.
I probably could run behind that guy.
Not against De La Salle, you couldn't.
Here's Dennis again.
The ball carrier once again.
As the Trojans try to mop this one up.
Along with number 37, John Alston.
Don't forget next week, big weekend of college football. It's Washington versus Oregon, 1:30 Mountain, 12:30 Pacific. And if you haven't seen Ontario Smith, you are in for a treat. Oregon put up a real good fight today against Washington State, but defensively they just didn't have the horses.
Yeah, they just can't hold up, especially in the defensive backfield. And Jason Gesser, the talented group of receivers, just burned them.
Castle, complete. Going to be shy of the first down. That was Dominic Bird who makes the catch. You get a chance to see the depth of this Trojan team.
Well, you remember that graphic we showed earlier about all the first-round draft picks and all the NFL players. It starts when they recruit the way they do nationally from the high school kids. They get a great group every year.
And I know Pete Carroll likes his group that he has coming in next year. Foul from his own 32 and immediately wrapped up. Break in the action. 49-17, USC on top. Back so many stars in this game. We've seen Kareem Kelly get it done. Mike Williams had a big game. Of course, it was Carson Palmer who continues to just rack up very impressive stats. Matter going to work once again and again, feeling some pressure and brought down, sacked Van Brown. Brings him down. How about the last 3 weeks for this young man? 13 touchdowns, 1,113 yards. He's completed 68% of his passes, just 2 picks.
I mean, that right here, the 13 and the 2 tells the story. Can you imagine in 3 weeks you're averaging over 4 touchdown passes a game?
He is really a guy that the NFL is going to enjoy. Matter rolling out. How about Cal? Now with a 10-point lead against Arizona State.
Well, remember in the Pac-10 with 7 minutes left in the game, 10 points is not insurmountable, but you know that's a significant game because Arizona State again has 1 loss in the league.
Well, you knew the Sun Devils had the ability to put the points on the board, but defensively, like a lot of the teams in the Pac-10, you can score on them.
Absolutely can.
3rd down and 16 for Kyle Matter. Just over 2.5 remaining here in Palo Alto. Matter complete to Justin Faust, and he's going to be shy of a first down. Picks up 12 yards, but it won't be enough to get the first down. And
you might as well go for it here.
Yeah.
You know, you hit the check down with Faust, picked up 12 of the 15. Give your kids a chance to try and make a play here, buddy.
Buddy Stevens has done it before. A quarterback from Dartmouth went down to Tulane, has won at Maine. Of course, was Steve Spurrier's right-hand man, and he's got a great system. It's going to take time, though. Faust in motion. Didn't get the first down.
Cooper Blackhurst, the backup fullback there. I thought he should have made the read to the second level, which would have given him the first down. Blackhurst couldn't turn it up the field.
In 1954, Bear Bryant took 115 football players into the desert of West Texas, but only a handful would ever play for him. The Junction Boys, the greatest sports story never told. Saturday, December 14th, 9 Eastern on ESPN.
I can't wait to see that. A lot of people forget that Bear Bryant coached anywhere before Alabama, and he really had the hardscrabble days at A&M.
It's a pitch to Herschel Dennis. You talk about Bear Bryant and a legend of college football. That is one of the things that you don't see a lot of guys today wearing hats and the plaid blazers and the character coaches.
That's because everybody's sponsored by somebody.
You never saw a Nike logo on Bear Bryant. Guys wearing hats like Tom Landry.
No, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a fun show.
Still got Joe Pa, though, huh? Dennis into the line. As we count this one down. 3-game winning streak that Stanford had on USC comes to an end.
3rd down and 3 on the Stanford 34.
Pete Carroll got this thing going right now. We talked about it starting out 1-4 since then. Outside of a tough game against Kansas State early when they dropped behind 27-6, and a missed extra point against Washington State. He just had a great year.
Pitch, Dennis, wrapped up. Today's Chevrolet players of the game, of course, Carson Palmer from USC, and Amon Gordon, who kept it going. He was exciting. He had a couple of tackles, but he's a guy that they're going to build this around. In recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. Chevrolet players of the game.
And of course, this is the first time Carson Palmer has beaten Stanford. 0 for 3 the last 3 times.
Yeah, a lot of players, a lot of seniors on USC. This is the first time that they have tasted victory against the Cardinal. Final 14 seconds of this one. Dominant performance by the Trojans.
Officials timeout for a measurement.
Talk about them next week. They have Arizona State and then the 2 big ones. Their arch rivals, the Bruins, at the Rose Bowl, and then Notre Dame.
That'll be a fun game to watch right here on ABC. Going to measure here. That's why the timeout. And the mock cheer, of course, goes up from the Cardinal faithful.
A quarter of an inch. Well, I guess you take whatever you can get, huh?
Pete Carroll still coaching him up.
Hey, you see a smile.
There it is.
He is so enthusiastic. In fact, there's a lot of people, you talk to the players, they say, we just love coaches' enthusiasm. And a lot of people feel like he's a better fit for college football. He's kind of a rah-rah guy.
I think he's a great fit. I think he's also one of those guys that's a great fit wherever he goes because he's so competent, he's so enthusiastic, and I think he can appeal to a cross-section of players.
Matter will take it all the time he wants. Nearly picked off Dallas Sartz, the freshman from Granite Bay, California.
Broken up by Dallas Sartz. 2nd down and 10.
Thrifty Car Rental post-game report to follow our game here on ABC.
And what hopefully should be the last play of the game unless we get another incomplete pass.
Matter hands off. And it's Justin Faust to finish off this one. A 9-yard run closes it out. 49-17. Pete Carroll and his Trojans with a big victory here in Palo Alto.
Kickoff is at 2. Fan pass begins at 11.
Once again, our final score, 49-17. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Keyword ABC Sports. Stay tuned for the Thrifty Car Rental post-game report after this from your ABC stations.